Okay, we're going to start the first lecture for Chapter 19, Thermodynamics. And take a look at this chapter. There's going to be a couple of big concepts we'll introduce to it. The first one is going to eventually here shortly is going to be entropy. So starting off, we'll mention that spontaneous reactions. These tend to proceed without outside assistance. So a really good example of that one is what we're going to refer to is melting ice. And melting ice, of course, above 0 degrees Celsius. If you're below 0 degrees Celsius, if ice is melting, there's something weird going on. But above 0 degrees Celsius, we just see it, it melts, it's spontaneous. We just expect it to happen. Another example you could think of would be dropping a ball. It is a spontaneous event, reaction. When you drop a ball, it falls to the ground. It would be really, really weird and non-spontaneous if you dropped a ball and it just went from the ground up to your hand all the way. It's just not going to make sense. Another concept thing we can throw in here is a term called isothermal process. And that is a reaction or an event in which the change is occurring at a constant temperature. So isothermal, same temperature. And a really good example of that one, which you guys would be familiar with, is a phase change. So this sounds kind of weird. If you're above 0 degrees Celsius, remember when ice is melting, regardless of what the temperature is on the outside, the surroundings, the ice will always be melting at 0 degrees Celsius until it is all gone. And of course, we look at it in freezing as well, but if the surroundings are above 0 degrees Celsius, the ice will melt at a constant temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. All right, let's introduce that concept we just mentioned in the very beginning. Entropy. So the first time we referred to that one, we'll give it a letter designation here in just a couple moments. But entropy is the extent of, and you've probably heard this before, I think we've talked about it, randomness in a system. And given the greater number of microstates. So there's a lot of ways we can talk about this. For a particle, something like randomness or entropy, you can look at it as far as vibrational, you can look at it rotational, or you can look at it as transitional, as far as all these different ways a molecule can move around. It can bend, it can vibrate, and it can kind of move closer and further away. And all of those are considered different states or random locations of how things could find themselves. Okay, and this is by definition the second law of thermo. And you don't have to know this, it does list it in your book. We give entropy the designated letter of S, and K is just a simple constant. I believe that's called Boltzmann's constant. And then W would just be the amount of different microstates that we have available. And look at as far as a change, we can say delta S, and that's typically what we're dealing with. would be the final in comparison to the number of microstates you had initially. And to make a comparison where this comes from, it goes back to enthalpy, and we'll look at this in an equation here in just a moment. So the energy of the system at some type of surroundings temperature. So we'll kind of put that in here. So it's usually and we'll define that. Because it is reversible. So again, we're typically referring to the temperature. So we have an energy amount for the Q, and the conditions in which that is happening, we're going to call that the surroundings, and again, it can kind of go back and forth. We'll give an example of that in just a moment. To look as far as what we can get out of entropy, we'll look at two different values, and we'll refer to that, okay, if delta S is positive, that'll refer to a reaction that is spontaneous. And if delta S is negative, it is non-spontaneous. And if we happen to look where delta S is 0, then that particular reaction happens to be reversible. So that reaction can happen to go back and forth. Okay? Let's look at an example. We will refer to the melting of ice, just to kind of put what we just talked about here in some kind of context or perspective. Melting ice in your hand. And we're going to refer to ice as the actual system. So again, we're going to treat ice as the systems, and everything else on the outside of ice is the surroundings, but we are the surroundings. So when we're melting ice in your hand, we would expect delta S to be, anyone, positive, negative? You should expect it to happen, which is spontaneous. So therefore, it should be positive. So let's look at a math relationship and see how this would go. Okay. And this is kind of like background information that'll help us better understand when we deal with other problems. But this kind of gives us a little understanding of how enthalpy is actually integrated into this whole system. So we're looking at the temperature change of, or the energy change, excuse me, at some particular temperature for the ice, and then we'll deal with the surroundings, which is U. Okay, so we'll look at some numbers here. We will say there's 1 mole of ice. And if we take a look at the amount of energy that's being absorbed by the ice in order to melt, this is the heat of fusion, the energy involved per mole, so molar heat of fusion for ice. So it has to absorb that much energy, and given a amount of, or excuse me, a temperature, it's going to be 273 Kelvin. And if we do all the math here, it would end up being 22.0 joules per Kelvin. So that's the amount of energy involved per Kelvin going through the system in entropy. And typically these are the units, joules for entropy. And typically it's going to be joules per Kelvin. So when you're dealing with enthalpy, that's delta H, usually you're dealing with kilojoules. Entropy is almost always going to be in joules. So it's a magnitude much smaller. All right, so we'll run through the value for U. Same kind of a setup, looking at energy at a specific temperature. For U, if we do the comparison, we have 1 mole of U, or excuse me, it's the same amount of energy, I take that back. Except this time the energy is leaving U, going into the ice. Per mole. But you are alive, therefore your temperature, if we assume you have a constant output of energy, an endless supply of energy that is going out of you, the numerical value, doing the math, will be negative 19.4 joules per Kelvin, leaving you in the process. All right, so I'm going to try to squeeze this in here on the bottom. So if we take a look at the total entropy dealing with the system plus the entropy of the surroundings, you'll end up with 22.0 joules per Kelvin plus a negative 19.4 joules per Kelvin, which gives us an overall entropy change of 2.6 joules per Kelvin. So it's a positive value. Therefore, this process, as we would expect, is spontaneous for this particular reaction. All right, we'll call this the end of video 1, and we'll have a number 2 coming up.